The malevolent entity of Hollowbrook House. Hollowbrook House stood as a sentinel of darkness on the outskirts of town. A decrepit mansion, it loomed with an air of sinister mystery that sent shivers down the spines of anyone who dared glance its way. Tales whispered through generations told of its haunting, a sinister force that had claimed the lives of those who had once sought refuge within its walls. The Williams family, unaware of the house's infamous history, moved in with hopes of starting anew. John and Emily, accompanied by their 2 children, Ava and Samuel, believed that the sprawling mansion would provide them with the fresh start they desperately needed. But as the family settled into their new home, an unnatural chill swept through the air, and an unsettling feeling of dread settled in their hearts. It began with whispers in the dark, faint voices that seemed to dance at the edges of their hearing. Shadows danced along the walls, morphing into forms that defied reason. Emily's once cheerful demeanor grew strained, her nights plagued by nightmares she couldn't escape. John dismissed her fears, attributing them to the stress of their move. As the days turned to weeks, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Unseen hands seemed to close around their throats, tightening with every passing moment. Objects moved of their own accord, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly tension. Samuel, the youngest, began to speak of a friend he had made, a dark figure that whispered secrets into his ear. One night, as the clock struck midnight, the house came alive with malevolence. Shadows coiled around the family members as they slept, and the air seemed to crackle with unholy energy. A haunting whisper echoed through the halls, promising power and dominion to those who would surrender to the darkness. Ava awoke to find herself paralyzed, her gaze drawn to a sinister figure at the foot of her bed. Its eyes glowed like ember, and a cruel grin twisted its distorted features. It whispered promises of unimaginable power, promising to quench her deepest desires in exchange for her loyalty. Terror gripped her heart, and as the entity reached out to touch her, Ava's scream pierced the night. John and Emily rushed into her room, their eyes widening in horror at the figure that seemed to shift and contort with every blink. John fought against the overwhelming dread, his fists clenched as he shouted defiantly at the entity. Emily grabbed hold of Ava, the 3 forming a circle of unity against the malevolent force that sought to consume them. As the entity grew more agitated, the house shook with its fury. Furniture flew through the air, shattering against the walls, and a darkness that seemed to stretch beyond comprehension engulfed them. With a desperate plea, Emily spoke words she didn't understand, ancient words of protection that echoed through time. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the darkness retreated. The entity's angry screams faded into the night, leaving the family gasping for breath. As the first rays of dawn broke through the windows, Hollowbrook House stood eerily quiet, as if the horrors of the night had never occurred. The Williams family, battered but unbroken, sought help from those who had faced similar terrors. They learned of the house's history, a place once inhabited by a powerful demon who reveled in chaos and despair. The entity had twisted the minds of its victims, driving them to madness and death. With the guidance of a seasoned exorcist, the family cleansed the house of the malevolent presence. The air grew lighter, the shadows less menacing. As they stepped outside, the sunlight bathed them in warmth, and a sense of liberation washed over them. Hollowbrook House remained a silent sentinel, a symbol of the horrors it had held within its walls. The Williams family moved on, forever scarred by the encounter but strengthened by their unity in the face of darkness. And as the years passed, the townsfolk whispered tales of the family that had faced the demon and survived, a testament to the enduring power of courage and love against even the most sinister of forces.